Welcome back to another edition of the Three-Man Weave Best Bet Show, presented by, that's right, Jim, Circa Sports. Jim is a company man today, rocking the Circa hat, rocking the Circa shirt. We're going to be at Circa Sports over the Elite Eight Sweet 16 weekend, March 28th through 31st, doing live shows, stadium swim, hooray, hurrah, Mizzou, Mizzou. However, fellas, we got to get through championship week first. Arguably the best slate of the year today. It is a juice slate, only 36 games, but boy, they're quality, up and down. We got semifinals and a bunch of mid-major conference tournaments. I'm loving it. I want takeaways first before we get into the rundown. I'm going to Jim first. Hello, Jim.
Hi, Kai. Hello. I don't understand Toledo, a team that just wins all regular season, gets to the MAC tournament, and turtles up into a ball. Very, very strange there. A lot of upsets, or I'll say seed upsets, in the Mountain West and A10, Matthias, nearly ensuring that we have 6 Mountain West teams in our big dance coming up. New Mexico, maybe not exactly a lock, but they're darn close. They're getting right onto that cut line. I'm excited to fade them. I remain super skeptical of that league. I don't care what anybody tells me.
The Atlantic 10. 2 bids? Yes, 2 bids. Congrats to the I guess the entire conference at large, Kai. But Dayton, we could talk about Dayton later, perhaps, but I'm selling some Dayton shares. But the broader takeaway, Jim, zooming out, every team with a lead in that format yesterday blew that lead famously. Just a terrible display of late game execution and just unfortunate jitters, Kai. Tough if you were backing favorites in that one.
Yeah, all 4 top seeds in the A10 lost. I mean, that's crazy. That's also horrible for Indiana State. I think it's almost like a sure thing Indiana State's out. This is one of the strongest bubbles ever that we've seen. There's going to be 2 to 4 quote-unquote deserving teams that get left out. Jim, I actually already know where this conversation is going to go because this is going to happen, and it's going to stoke the flames of expansion even more, unfortunately. You're going to see teams get left out that, yes, would make the tournament in a lot of years, but because of the strength of the bubble right now, because of a couple bid stealers, it's not going to happen, and unfortunately, the tournament's going to expand. Great. Now I'm in a bad mood, Jim. Awesome. Cool.
Yeah, it's all about agendas, Kai, and people will push theirs, and when FAU loses, that's probably another, I don't know if it's going to be today or if they will, but if they do in that tournament, it's another bid gone and sadness for bubblers.
Okay, anyways, let's go on. Let's go. Let's start with a Baylor and Iowa State game out in the Big 12. Fantastic matchup to start us off, fellas. We got the Clones favored by just one measly point. Matthew, which way are you going here? The 2 and the 3 seed in the Big 12 playing for 2 and 3 seeds in the actual tournament.
A slight lean to Iowa State, despite the market disagreeing. Jim, you have some good reasons as to why you think Iowa State's a good matchup. I'll just give you a quick hockey pass here. I like the matchup for the Clones, and kind of shocked Baylor took money, honestly.
Yeah, I'm a little bit too. Iowa State has covered 8 in a row against Baylor. Sorry, Matt, I was expecting maybe more from you. That was
No.
You trying to get out of here or something? Good goodness.
Yeah, actually, there's no day ball today. It's all late. You're right. It's actually very upsetting. Very upsetting.
Iowa State has covered 8 in a row against Baylor. Baylor did actually win narrowly at home earlier this year by 2, but last year Iowa State triple swept them, whomped them like every time. Like it was pretty decided 10 minutes in the game what was happening. The athleticism, the physicality, I think has given Baylor a fair amount of problems and could potentially do so today. Iowa State got contributions from 5-star recruit Omaha Billieu yesterday. Very rare. He has been kind of nailed to the bench, but Demarion Watson was out and suddenly was like, oh yeah, this guy has just been collecting cobwebs and we're going to hurl him at you and good luck. Of course, Baylor's guards are good enough to handle the rock against the pressure. That's what you have to do. You can't let Iowa State start getting steals, layups. That's when it gets downhill against you. I liked the under yesterday with that Baylor Cincinnati game. Hooray. A best bet that didn't lose in overtime. Rock on. But I don't love it enough to back that today. But I like Iowa State just from a matchup perspective.
I'm going Baylor. But to your point about the ball handling, Baylor turned the ball over 20 times in the first game. Very close matchup. Now, Baylor was up 15 in that game. Iowa State came back, was up 7 in the second half in Waco. Baylor ended up winning. I'm just a big believer in this Bears team. I think they get to the free throw line a lot in this game. Both teams had a huge edge on the offensive glass in game 1. They both kind of had no problem getting second chance points. I think Baylor's is more sustainable. They've done it more this season. But Iowa State is really dangerous on these quick turnarounds. They scrap, they play hard. That's a hard team to beat. A team that has incredible effort nonstop every single game on a quick turnaround, I think is incredibly hard to beat. I think talent wins out, though, today. I'm going Baylor as a slight +1 dog here. So I'm agreeing with Ryan in the chat here on Baylor. But I like that we disagree. Good. This is good. Good TV. Okay, next game. SEC country. Here we come. It just means more. Jim, Florida, Alabama. The Tide laying 3.5. 4. Does Florida have Alabama figured out? Florida maybe should have been 2-0 against them in the regular season. Your thoughts?
Yeah, it's kind of what I thought having watched the games. Like, yeah, Florida was pretty good against them, punked them inside, but Alabama actually had more offensive rebounds in the two games. They had 36 combined. One of the games they had 21. And Alabama was 13 for 55 from three combined. Like, horrible, horrible shooting from a team that's very good at it. Latrell Wrightsell played 8 combined minutes, Matthew, in the two games, and he's 45% three-point shooter. He matters. He spaces the floor for all their drives. However, Florida does have a pretty good game plan for them. They have forced Mark Sears right. That was something that Todd Golden talked about in a halftime presser or a halftime interview. And even last night after they won against Georgia, he was like, it's a team we feel like we have a good feel for what they need to do, what's important to them, and we can kind of take that away. They won last night with Zion Poland fouling out like fairly early, so it got more contributions from Kugel. I do lean towards Florida here, Matthew, getting the 4.5. I just think they're a pretty solid matchup for the Tide.
Yeah, how much do we care about Rylan Griffin? I know his status today is up in the air. Data says
a decent amount. He's like one of the few good defenders on that team.
It's funny. The data says he's actually a better offensive player. I mean, he's just a good player. He can shoot it, score, he's skilled. I mean, just kind of that Swiss Army knife that's pretty critical to Oates' style, which Kai has been good in this conference format historically. I mentioned Oates is 5-2 against the number since he arrived at Alabama in the SEC tournament. But I think he needs all his horses. My gut told me Bama was my first inclination, my lean, but without Griffin confirmed, I think they need him.
Yeah, I'm a little bit worried about Florida down the stretch here. I know they beat Alabama, but their last 2 games have been terrible. They lost at Vanderbilt, and Georgia nearly beat them yesterday. Just really kind of strange. Maybe they're a little lackadaisical. Okay, get back up for Alabama. Sure. I think this game's high scoring. Not sure they can make this total high enough. They did. They tried. It's in the low 170s. I have a hard time seeing both teams not get to 90, at least one team getting to 90 here. The Florida guards are actually who crushed Alabama. Poland averaging 18 across 2 games. Clayton 24.5 across 2 games. Richard 20 across 2 games. Alabama cannot stop these guards. Their defense just isn't there. And if you want to throw in the Griffin thing, sure, that makes it even worse. I actually lean towards Florida here, slightly on the spread at 3.5, 4, slightly into the Gators.
To Joey in the chat, Circa is paying us. He said, "How much is Circa paying you?" Well, they're paying us. That's why I'm wearing.
Their sponsor. Yeah. Okay, Colorado State and New Mexico in the Mountain West. Jim mentioned the Lobos in the start. They're not safe still. It's crazy. I hate this bubble. It's so good. It's going to be impossible to choose. If you're a bracketologist, good luck choosing 68 teams because I don't think you can do it. Okay, we're going to start with Matthew here. Matt, the Rams are safe. They beat Nevada. Impressive game. Heck, New Mexico took down Boise. Both these teams, incredibly impressive games yesterday. Your thoughts on this one? New Mexico laying 2.5.
So post-game interview with Jalen House, who by the way has like the highest pitched voice I've ever heard. It's pretty hilarious. He's a goober. That just a clown of characters on that in that backcourt, which I love. That's why they're my Lobos. But Jim, it was very clear. Like in the interview was like, "Hey, pretty sure you guys are locked in now," and he's like, "Yeah, it's so awesome. Like it just feels so special to go to the tournament." Like they think they're really in, like at an absolute lock. And we can debate the bracketology thing, but psychologically for this game, man, it did not give me the warm and fuzzy, especially against the Colorado State team that looked awesome last night that I think we know can flip a switch pretty quickly despite the fact they did struggle down the stretch. I kind of like the Rams catching 2.5 here. Maybe 4, I'd be more inclined to bet it, but that's where my gut tells.
Yeah, Rothstein declared them a lock in, and it's like nobody inside the field took a bad loss at all. And we lost a bid yesterday because of Dayton going down. So like declaring a team that was out suddenly in, you have to say who they're jumping, and they have to jump 2 teams that are in there. I don't know, like Seton Hall, I guess, but I don't think they're out, Kai.
Yeah.
It's really, really debatable in that
It's hard.
department. We won't turn this into a bracketology show, but yeah, the home team won both here, both games under, which actually kind of surprised me given how like guard heavy both offenses are. And Mountain West typically kind of an under venue. Just the games just slow down. They get into the muck. Hasn't been fully the case this year, but it's generally the sense of it. I lean Colorado State. I think they looked last night like they looked in November and December, a lot sharper offensively, and the defense was still pretty solid there. New Mexico's not going to punk them inside like some teams can. So it's a Colorado State lean for me, but nothing strong under, also preferable to me.
Yeah. Spotlight on the guards, man. I just can't wait to watch this game. Stevens versus House Dent Mashburn, man. Scoring, playmaking. Efficiency quite low, actually, in the 2 games prior to this in the regular season, which goes against every thought I have with these 2 teams. It's going to be up-tempo in this one, I think. I'm leaning towards Colorado State. I'm trusting Stevens here. The better defense is Colorado State. Top 2 field goal percentage on both ends in Mountain West play. I think that travels pretty well in a tournament setting. So Colorado State is where I'm leaning in this game. Shout out to Kevin Linger in the chat with the super chat $5 donation. Thank you. Tough cover by my Who's last night. Please keep throwing shade and we'll keep winning. I love that. Fantastic by Kevin there. Yes, we had Boston College in that game. That's a tough overtime loss, but your Who's are probably in. I have a hard time seeing them getting left out now. Yeah, people are hating, man. Prove them wrong. Sure. Okay, Texas A&M, Kentucky is where we're going next in the rundown. Kentucky, Jim, in my opinion, of course, we've said it, I'm probably not the only guy with this opinion, arguably the best top gear in the country. If they're playing their best, they are hard to stop. Texas A&M, though, clearly fighting for their tournament lives, not safe either. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I've been resistant to the Kentucky defensive renaissance early when I had the 3-game stretch where no one made more than 20% of their threes against them. And it was like, oh, look, they figured it out. And then they did not figure it out. They gave 100 to Arkansas, but there's at least more effort and a little more off-ball awareness. They're not just consistently getting beat all the time, and especially when they're most engaged, the offense looks best. It was like the midweek games on the road or midweek games against a non-tournament team that was clearly there's no defense being played here. Perhaps that helps Matt, because this is a very physicality-based Texas A&M team. It's going to take it to them, try to dominate the offensive glass, try to force turnovers. And of course, UK has terrific guards that should hopefully be able to handle that. And the biggest thing with Kentucky too is the more and more shift towards playing Dillingham and Shepherd 30 to 35 minutes instead of 19 off the bench as a spark plug. Play your best players. The team looks the best. I think this is where it runs out for Mr. Buzz, Matthew. I'm a Kentucky lean today in the SEC.
Number felt a little short, but I'll give the A&M lens here, Kai. Why has Manny Obaseki been just on this restrictor plate program? Buzz plays him a lot and he's awesome. He's been the reason they've been good the last 4 games. Now their competition hasn't been great, but you can very clearly draw a line to they turned a switch. They probably should, that South Carolina game at home, they probably could have won that. I mean, it could be 5-0 in the last 5. And it's all because of Manny Obaseki. 5-star recruit, for some reason still there. Shocking he hadn't transferred or gone pro. And Buzz is finally, I mean, he is such a special athlete. You put him next to Boots Radford and Wade Tatum, that's a good little backcourt. That can hang with the super duper speed of the Big Blue Nation Kentucky Wildcats. And we saw A&M play Kentucky competitively this season. I like A&M. It's a slight lean for me. I just wish I was getting 6, maybe 7.
I'd like to claim credit for the first person to start putting Texas A&M in my field before everyone else. Everyone's copying me. However, with the Memphis loss, Texas A&M has 5 Q3 losses now. Memphis slid down to Q3. They have one of the weirdest resumes ever. 5 Q1 wins, 5 Q3 losses. Good luck with that one. I'm not sure it's ever happened. So we'll see what the committee does to Texas A&M.
Is Memphis really a Q3 loss?
Now it is on a neutral, I guess, is where it was.
We can look at the actual terms of the Q records. Yeah, Jim's point, wins by bubble. I'm here for it.
I mean, Memphis has been obviously pretty bad. Yeah, A&M, we know they're going to pound the glass. Best offensive rebounding team in the country. Kentucky's youth maybe shows a little bit here in this game. Stay poised. A&M, the more veteran team. Wade Taylor, every bit as good as these Kentucky guards that get talked about more than he does. Maybe he's got a chip on his shoulder. Slightly into A&M as well, Matthew. Okay. Hey, chat mob time. Shout out to Zhang Mr. Michael Zhang in the chat, sending the boys a DoorDash gift card. Yeah, we'll take that. Appreciate that.
What?
In Three-Man Weave email, Jim. Check it out.
Oh, sick.
Thank you,
All right.
Mr. Zhang. That
God
is
bless you, Zhang.
all too kind, unnecessary, and all too kind. We thank you so
Get
much.
some wings while we watch ball, Kai.
Hell yeah, that's exactly what we're going to do. Okay, Chat Mob, part 1. Jim, round us up.
A lot of questions about the old Gamecocks. Pat Taylor's Gamecocks, Matthias, South Carolina, the team that has kind of been defrauding all the predictive metrics all year, been way outplaying them. The resume rankings way, way high. They're taking on Auburn. Matthew, the spread right now is 8 at Circa. That feels egregiously high to me. I like the Gamecocks.
I liked him yesterday. I don't like him today. I think Auburn in this rested spot, I think their pressure kind of comes and maybe catches a Gamecock team a little bit off guard, a little weary. They're in the tournament. I just don't know if you're going to see a ton of second half fight with Auburn, comes out and controls this game. But again, Kai, the youth of Auburn at times has shown, and they haven't been as dominant as consistently as I think we thought they'd be after their awesome start against a relatively weak-ish schedule, if we'll say.
All right, Kai, in the ACC, NC State and Virginia, the Wolfpack upset Matthew's sleepy ass Duke team yesterday. I really weird performance from them. Soft indeed. Virginia laying only 2.5. Kai, does NC State keep rolling to the final?
Jim, I kind of think they do. I'm toying with making NC State a best bet. So let's just think about that one and stay tuned. Man, they're playing good.
Kevin Linger's going to be coming after you.
They're playing good, and I've been defending Virginia all season. Okay, I think they're pretty vulnerable here in this spot.
I agree.
All right,
I like NC State
Matthew.
here.
Matt, I have a very preferred side in this one from Russ. Your Hoosiers are getting 4.5 against Nebraska in the Big Ten tournament. What do you think?
Kind of like Nebraska. I mean, I don't know. Has Nebraska been good outside of home all year? Really, not that often. That's my only concern. Indiana playing better, but again, I do tend to like these favorites in the rested spots.
Is it Nebraska? Indiana? Is that the game? Sorry, I've taken Indiana twice against Nebraska this year. They have lost by 15, and they have lost by
16.
15
both
yeah,
times.
So they've gotten absolutely brutalized. I won't be doing it again. No thanks.
Yeah, Trey Galloway likely still out. I'm a big fan of Nebraska today. Already bet it. Not my show best bet, but it is one I really, really like. Kai, in the American, Wichita State took out the aforementioned Memphis. Now the 12-seed Shockers are on to take on UAB. UAB laying 5 in this quarterfinal matchup.
I kind of lean Wichita, man. I'm kind of hot hand theory right now, but I think UAB is really, really good. But this is one of those teams, Wichita, that we thought would be a lot better in the preseason, like a lot better. And they were analytically still like solid throughout the entire season, despite what their record shows. So I think they can hang around again. I lean their way at 5.5.
Matt, this is another one I bet the favorite in. Sam Houston laying 5 against Middle Tennessee. I just think Sam Houston's a little underrated in metrics. Middle Tennessee.
They're playing UTEP.
Oh, okay. You're right. My mistake.
Western's playing Middle Tennessee.
Yep.
Correct. Yeah. Okay. That's right.
Here. So regardless, I bet Sam Houston again.
I like Sam Houston. I was gonna say, doesn't matter. The point is, I think Sam Houston is still one of these undervalued teams. Metrically, just perception wise, they're just good. And UTEP off that crazy comeback win over Liberty yesterday. Liberty, what are we doing? Score point.
Rolled up in a ball yesterday. Make free throws, Liberty. What are you doing?
Really Virginia light, trustworthy team. We can't hold it. Kai, continue. Sorry, Jim, continue.
Rasnu. Kai, Marquette got by Villanova last night in overtime, barely survived. Now they are laying 4.5 against Providence, who is coming for that tournament bid too. Yeah. They got the big upset win over Creighton. Now it's Marquette 4.5. What do you think today?
Yeah, Providence 6 Q1 wins. I'm not sure any team's ever been left out with 6 Q1 wins and the lack of Q3 losses that Providence has, i.e. 0. I lean Providence 4.5 without Kolek still. Devin Carter, he's player of the year for a reason. Would I have voted for him player of the year? It's a different story. He's clearly the most important player to his team, though.
Yeah, that I agree with. I also think Providence just hangs around against the team missing their top star.
I like Marquette.
Good.
Okay. Matthew, in the Big Ten, Illinois laying 5 against the darling of this tournament, Ohio State, who pretty much handled Iowa, up about 10 basically the entire second half, shot the lights out in the first half, and then maintained it down the stretch. Any thoughts for you here with the Illini being the rested team?
It's been a great run from Mr. Diebler, like legitimately a very nice run. But it ends today. Illinois takes care of business, I think, pretty convincingly. This is going to be a high scoring game, I think. 153s. That feels like a low total for, Illinois is like the most overy team of overs, and Ohio State certainly has been getting up and down a little bit with Diebler at the helm. I like the over here, Kai. I like Illinois in a shootout to win by 5 or more.
All right, Kai, one more. We will go back to the outline. Plenty more questions to get to, folks. I'm collecting them all, but we'll just get one more here before we save them for the second section. Kai, Akron in Ohio in the MAC.
Woo-hoo.
I have made my Akron displeasure known, but they held up very well against Miami of Ohio yesterday. Impressive W. Ohio, they've got Jeff Bowles. Still no Miles Brown, but they were also impressive yesterday. Akron -1.5 in Cleveland.
I like Akron. I think this is their tournament. They're built for this tournament. Experienced team. They've done it before. Akron. I think they're really going to be really hard to beat with their experience.
Jim, Miles Brown came back yesterday. Pretty huge. Nobody noticed that or not.
Well, I would have bet their future if I'd have known that. I was like, what?
Hey, guess what you can do, Jim? You can join me on my best bet of today's show, Ohio +2. I just placed it about a half hour before we started. I would advise all those to join. Mr. Brown is back. This team has it's still like a guy too short. I feel like they're missing like a true big guy. They look super guardy, which is obviously can be a kryptonite issue with Akron. That also works in their favor. I think the better guard play is a team I trust more than the team with better bigs. I've seen Akron continuously, I should say, not get the ball to Ali and Freeman when they should. Like they should dominate every time. They don't get touches consistently. They just don't. So I like Ohio. Better coach team, better guards. +2.
Ooh. Wow.
All right. I will be joining you
gross.
on that. Yeah.
Yeah, Bulls is better coach than Gross.
Okay. That's it for Chat Mob Section 1. I will continue collecting questions. Kai, back to you, Mr. Host.
Okay, here we go. Colorado and Wazoo. Washington State is where we're going to go to kick off part 2. Colorado is laying 2 in this game. Scott calls it a stinky line in the chat, Jim. Do you agree? We thought the Buffs were safe. Again, not anymore. The strength of the bubble plus the A10 bid stealer still has them in flux. Probably get in with the win today, though. What do you think?
Yeah, hopefully they're not like New Mexico and counting their chickens right now, because you might as well get another good win. It would be very beneficial. The line very much lines up with what the 2 previous matchups were. Colorado was -6.5 at home, altitude 4.5 for home. Boom, Colorado -2 on a neutral. I think that is a completely reasonable line. When they were -6.5 at home, they won by 7. So right about on them. 2 of the biggest 11 teams in the country, 2 of the 11 biggest teams in the country. That's, I think, a better wording for it. So there's going to be a lot of battling in the paint. Matt, I think the difference maker is Cody Williams back. So I like Colorado. Sorry to Kyle Smith, whose name keeps popping up in every job opening. Stanford, Vanderbilt, etc. I think this is, I think the Buffs get it done with Williams back in there.
I agree. I'm not certain he's 100%, but he is back and he's effective because he's just so talented. And I think he's really cozied up to like this, really, jack of all trades, almost like a role player. Like, I think he defends, he dishes. He's kind of just a good glue guy. And when he doesn't play, they have to play Ruffin big minutes. And Ruffin's just been kind of bad, like just not like a real player. Like I think the replacement level value of Cody Williams, even though he's not been like the super duper 5-star freak that we all thought, still very important. I agree with you there. I just think Washington State's depth up front is just too much. And I think it's going to ultimately wear down Colorado. Foul trouble could be a major issue for big Eddie Lampkin up front, kind of the roundhouse that he is. I think the Cougs prevail.
Yeah, I think depth is a key point there because Colorado obviously has the size. Jim mentioned, at least the front line. The front line, yeah, Lampkin and even De Silva, who missed the first game in the game Colorado won, which really takes away from the whole Colorado was injured this year. Put them in the tournament, they won without De Silva, their quote unquote best player.
That's what's ignored in that discussion.
Yes.
Is that like the sample size with and without Kent for Indiana State is very different than the sample size with and without other people.
Yeah. Colorado also pretty weak defending the paint despite that size. They allow a lot at the rim. Now, Wazoo, they get in the paint. They're more of a mid-range, I would say, like not like rim team. They get to the rim a bit, but I think they're more settling in the mid-range. But Colorado, better shooting team. I would say overall more talented. I'm excited for Simpson versus Rice. Going to be electric. Both teams can carry their own teams on their back. toss up for me, maybe slightly in Colorado. The current form, the way they're playing, they've been playing great. 7 straight wins, slightly in Colorado. Okay, Sparty, Purdue is where we're heading next. Matthew, Sparty, not safe, but it would be unprecedented probably to leave out a top 25 net team. The resume metrics are borderline, 9-13 across Q1, Q2, 3 Q1 wins. The non-con strength of schedule is elite. Your thoughts, 7.5-point favorites are Purdue, who are just playing for the S-curve on the 1 seed line.
My first thought when opening at 5.5 was like, oh, 5.5, that's too low. And then everyone agreed with me and got in line and bet Purdue to the point where it's now -7.5 at Circa, -8 at a few places. And now I'm like, why not back Sparty? Like they just played Purdue pretty competitively at Mackey. And looking at Matt Painter's conference tournament track record, it's not been super impressive. So I don't know. I don't want to go against the momentum that is the favorites with rest. I think that still played out slightly positive yesterday. I need to update my data there, but I kind of ended up in no man's land, Jim. All that said.
Yeah, I lean towards Michigan State. We said it during that matchup, the one that they played recently, the 10-point spread at Purdue. It doesn't matter that their centers suck. It's just four guys you can throw fouls at Edey. Like it's not a matchup where it's like, oh, we're really hurting without an interior scorer. You're not going to post up Edey anyways. So their guards and having different creators, I think, is important. Tyson Walker did not look banged up against Minnesota to me. Down the stretch, he was fantastic, and I think that's been a big thing that's been hampering this Michigan State team. The Hogard stuff is still a little bizarre to me, and him being like the leader of the team. But the fact that it was 10 at Purdue and Michigan State covered, and now it's 7.5 neutral, I do lean Sparty, Kai. I just don't think that makes sense in my head.
Yeah. Yeah. Please hit the like button, guys, if you will. Take just 2 seconds, hit the like. We're operating at like a 10% like ratio to views right now. A little low.
That's not going to cut it.
Yeah. So Edey's going to smoke him inside. He only had 32 and 11 last game at Mackey. That's hard to stop. I just think they're going to get pretty much whatever they want at the line. Second chances, eating the post. Sparty's offense is blah, man. That Minnesota game was not pretty for a while. I know they ended up, extending late, but they were in real danger for a long time. Ever so slightly into Purdue, but I totally agree the spread's high. I'm not going to be laying it. Just sort of a gut lean to Purdue there. Okay, Big East country, man. Can anybody stop UConn? UConn St. John's. Xavier hung with them, Jim, till he didn't. And UConn just slammed the gas pedal down, and boom, they were gone. The Johnnies still in tournament contention, not totally safe, just like every other team on this outline. Your thoughts on this one? UConn's land almost 10, 9.5.
Yeah, that second half was from UConn was frightening. They made like 12 straight shots, including dunks, layups, like incredible extra passes to get the easier shots. Like, oh wow, yeah, I forgot this team. I didn't forget, but oh yeah, there's the gear that this team has that makes them like the best team in the country. But St. John's has kind of been their kryptonite all year. Both games were really, really close. I know Pitino didn't quite get the win in either one, but it had him right there. And again, at Iona last year in the tournament, was winning at halftime against the team that covered every single non-conference game. He's had a fairly good antidote to what UConn does and kind of mucks it up and mixes defenses. And I think it just kind of keeps UConn a little bit off balance. But Matt, I do think UConn eventually wins, kind of pulls away here. Their St. John's defensive issues will crop up at some point. Inability to keep guys in front one-on-one is a major issue. And they're not going to be able to light up the defense the way they did yesterday. They torched Seton Hall. I don't think UConn allows that. So in this like John Fanta dream world of Pitino versus UConn on Friday night at the Garden, I am going with UConn to win, but I think St. John's can keep it close.
I'm not so sure. I look at the last, the first meeting, agree. Second meeting, Stephen Castle was the best player on the floor in that game. And he wasn't Stephen Castle in the first meeting. I think people realize or haven't realized how important he is to this team. Like they have not played a bad game in basically 2 months. Like the shot quality score in that Creighton game was super close. Creighton made every shot they took, and UConn even made a pretty big run the second half. I mean, every other game is a win with conviction. Like I just think they're the best team. They've separated themselves. I think they win handily today. I do.
Matt, just for Stefan.
I know what you're going to say.
Stefan. Sorry,
Steven.
not Stefan Castle.
Stephen Curry.
Castle. Stephen Curry. Stefan Curry.
Yeah, the Johnnies probably have no chance. They did play UConn close the first game. There was no clinging. Soriano, is he going to stay out of foul trouble? Is he going to keep UConn off the glass? I don't know. I'm not interested in fading this UConn team. I'm not going to do it all tournament. I'm not going to do it now. I'm going to ride the wave. This team is scary good when they're firing on all cylinders. Yeah, that's all I got.
I don't mind St. John's first half from the folks in the
Sure,
chat.
yeah. There's a little bit of precedence there. You saw UConn and Xavier hang around, and then boom, they're gone. Poof. Okay, a huge one in the ACC. Pitt, North Carolina. The Tar Heels laying 7.5. Pitt needs this win, Matt. Their non-con strength of schedule is an eyesore. Everyone declared them in after beating Wake. Guess what? They're not. They're not in right now when compared to other teams. Your thoughts on the Pitt Panthers and the UNC Tar Heels?
I like Pitt. I just don't know if I like him in this spot. I think the guards. Yeah, I just think the UNC is just more of a tournament type team for me. I just think the guards right now, the way they're playing, are going to out firepower, outshoot the guards for Pitt, who are young, dynamic, but I think prone to Jekyll and Hyde roller coaster rides. I think today you kind of a letdown performance for the younger guards. Unless Blake Hinson goes completely nuclear, which we know he certainly can, I think the UNC's just overall sheer talent and depth wears out in a pretty standard tournament back-to-back game here. Nothing profound. Sorry, Jim.
I liked Florida State yesterday, and obviously they got thrashed. Just like didn't really have a single chance against North Carolina. I mean, the first 10 minutes was like, yeah, okay, they're right with them, and then it was like 33-15 to end the half, and completely demolished them. Never let them back in the second half. So perhaps at the risk of underestimating UNC again, I like Pitt, and I think they could win outright. I think the guards have Cadeau and Lowe and Carrington. All those guys are playing well above freshman caliber. Leggett was unbelievable yesterday. Basically won them the game. There's 1v1 type stuff against those Wake guards that couldn't handle him. And Matt, you've harped on this Pitt's team size. They're kind of thin, Federico and the one remaining Diaz Graham, but I think they compete a little bit inside. And Hinson, while Ingram is a good matchup for him, he's still a problem for basically everybody with his range, because as soon as he's in the gym, he can score. So Kai, I think Pitt hangs around. They only played once this year, back in like early January. I think Pitt can get the win, maybe, but also I like them to cover.
Yeah, I'm not stepping in front of this UNC train. I like Pitt's energy, but UNC's just got too much talent right now. By the way, if UNC, it's Pitt, NC State, or Virginia. If UNC doesn't win the ACC tournament, pretty crazy that we're down to these four teams.
Well, that's if BC had pulled it off yesterday. It was like, oh yeah, so NC State or BC's in the final.
Yeah. I mean, NC State has a real shot at winning this tournament and getting an auto bid, which would be even more chaos for the bubble. I don't see UNC losing. 7.5, hey, I agree. A little bit high, would slightly into Pitt there on the spread, but again, not stepping in front of this train. No thank you. Okay, round 2 of Chat Mob will close us out before our best bets. 2 best bets, by the way, lost in overtime yesterday. That hurts. Ouch. It happens. Basketball. Jim, Chat Mob, round 2. What you got?
Going to Matthew for one from the Zanger in the chat. Arizona, -11 against Oregon. Matthias. Arizona's kind of handled them both games. I remember the road game was like, oh, it's a really good spot for Oregon. And then Caleb Love went bananas, and Arizona dominated that game. Do they get them a third time here, laying double digits in Vegas?
Yeah, I took Oregon. I've, fool me once, fool me twice, fool me thrice, probably today. I will see, but I did take the 11 with my Ducks.
I'm wearing a nice home field Oregon shirt. That does not mean I support Oregon here, though. Yeah. So, but I support your bet. Go, Matt.
Thank you.
Win money. Yeah.
I lean your way, Matt. I think it's a little high, and maybe I'm crazy. Arizona's been so good against them. Kai from Matt Balte, UT Arlington, Tarleton State. Battle of the Texas schools. Tarleton now laying 1 last I looked at it. Yep. Is flipped from Arlington favorite on the opener. But Arlington has been cooking lately. Do they continue their run here? Tarleton, the rested team.
Yeah, Arlington is in the pool of potential Kai best bets. I really like how they're playing right now. So we'll save that for the end. Not sure if we'll take them, but strong lean Arlington right now.
Winner of this game wins the tournament. That's my hot take.
I don't agree.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's Grand Canyon, but not a bad take.
Yeah, no, Kai, I'm with you. I think Arlington's a solid bet there. Sorry, Matt. I know you love your Tarleton boys. Speaking of Texas, Matthias, Sam Houston State down there in the Lone Star. They are taking on. Oh no, we already talked about this game, didn't we? What about
Sam
the other
Houston
one?
again? Hey, it's good to underscore Great bet there, Sam Houston.
Give,
Probably
give
the
me the
best
other
bet for
one,
me.
Matt. Western
Middle
Kentucky
Tennessee versus Western
and Middle
Kentucky.
Tennessee. Yes, I like Western Kentucky. I think Middle Tennessee played out of their minds against La Tech.
I agree. I kind of wanted to lay first half. I just don't know if I trust Western Kentucky to put away a team by margin. They've kind of had some, but they did yesterday, so they certainly put away my Aggies pretty quickly. I like that. I kind of like first half. If you want to get involved in this game, well, first half with the tops guy.
Yeah, that's not too bad. This is fully matching the eye test. The shot quality score in Louisiana Tech was La Tech by 16, and Middle Tennessee was throwing in Garbaggio in that game.
Great season, La Tech. Nice job.
Spread feels short. Spread does feel short here for WKU. I'm going to agree with Matt.
I agree. I bet that game. Kai, another 1 seed, South Florida, taking on East Carolina. Unfortunately, a bitter name for us after they barely nipped Tulsa late on the spread. The Bulls are laying 7 in the American quarterfinals. Your thoughts?
I have nothing. I have absolutely nothing on this game, Jim. Part of me leans ECU. Part of me leans South Florida. That means I have nothing. So I'm
the spread is too high. Can we agree with that? The spread's too high.
I think so, man. But I'm like 0-10 fading South Florida. So no thanks.
Yeah, and in East Carolina off that really nip and tuck game against Rested. I mean, maybe what East Carolina first half. Even Dan Hurley talked about that yesterday. Like they had the advantage in the first half because they've played on the court and we haven't gotten to warm up. I think Golden also talked about it. The team on the bye is like rested, but they haven't gotten familiar with the court. They've only had a 20-minute warm up to be out there. And then that starts to kind of tilt the other way when the potential fatigue and just familiarity catches up. So potentially East Carolina first half. Matt, the other American game, or not the other, there's a bunch of them, but Charlotte and Temple. Charlotte laying 7 against the Owls, who are suddenly competent now that they are being investigated. Your thoughts?
I feel the same way I do about ECU. It just feels too high. Like I like both Kai. I'm going to ride with Kai's hot hand approach in the AAC with ECU and Temple. Temple's good. They just are no longer being paid behind, closed doors to throw games like when they're actually trying, and they have all of their healthy players, which they did not for 2/3 of the year. We still believe Adam Fisher is not Micah Shrewsbury good, but sat next to Micah for a few years, probably knows what he's doing with pretty good players. I like +7.
Fair enough. Yeah, so it should be a slow game too. Charlotte not going to allow that tempo to get.
And Charlotte's been very up and down lately. Yeah, that's too high. That's too high.
All right, my best bet is coming from a question via Eric here. Do we like another Marist under? Yes, we do. Marist Fairfield under 134. I am hopping on that one. The MAC games have been largely rock fights so far. I think we get another one here. John Dune, a very much a half-court kind of coach in charge of Marist. And Fairfield's offense didn't look all that sharp against Iona the other night. So under 134 is my best bet. Potentially going to have a second one when we get to best bets, but just wanted to get to that one first as there was a question about it. Kai, out west in Henderson, Nevada, the Big West tournament, UC Davis has been waiting in the semis. They get Hawaii. Now it is a pick'em between these two. Any thoughts for you on that game?
Yes, I just want to verify that. Oh no, okay, I was wrong. So they split. I thought UC Davis swept them. I like UC Davis here. I think they're a horrible matchup for Hawaii. I think Eli Pepper does his thing. Like Davis here.
Yeah, Hawaii won by 17. That was on the island.
Yeah,
perhaps that is a big part of that. Both games went over. I was starting to think under in that one, but both matchups going over gave me a little bit of pause. Matthew, in the MAC semifinal, Kent State, the 8 seed, favored -2 over the 5 seed Bowling Green. I've got my Bowling Green future in hand. I'm hoping 15-1 can get to the final here in this semi toss-up game, but man, Kent State looked good yesterday, and they typically look good in this event. What are your thoughts?
Why is there money coming in on Bowling Green? I don't like that. I laid 2 with Kent State. It's going to make it a best bet for the show. Am I crazy? I'm with Jim. I feel like Kent State is like a very obvious underachiever for most of the year. Yeah, they're injured, and yes, they are still injured, but like I think that style that they play, like the physicality, dominate the rim, especially at a venue which has not been kind to scoring. It's going to be a rock fight, Kai. I like under 2 in this one too, but I think they just win. They out-brute Bowling Green, as simple as that sounds.
I agree. I kind of think they're going to win the tournament now. It's like
Is,
classic.
is someone else out for Kent State that I'm forgetting that I missed yesterday? Clearly, I missed something here. There's got to be.
Peyton and Bass, right? Did
Bass was out.
Yeah,
Are they
Bass
both
is
out
still
again?
out.
That's fine.
Just watching that game
Cool.
is like, wait, they still have Santiago and Solinger and Hornbeak. Like, what? This team is like still pretty good.
Von Cameron Davis.
Von
was the
Cameron
best player
Davis.
before,
Yep.
like the whole
Cam
time.
Davis is a beast.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I don't know.
I have no idea how they went 8-10 in the league. That is a mystery. All right. One more question here from the extra board. Kai, we'll see if you have any take. North Carolina Central and Delaware State from David Martell, the MEAC semifinals. Delaware State with a big comeback. They almost held they almost had a single-digit second half out of South Carolina State. It was an impressive defensive performance. Do they keep rolling against Lavelle Moton's men?
Shocking. I thought SC State was kind of a dark horse to win this MEAC tournament. I think North Carolina Central takes care of business. I would lean their way at 4.5, 5.
Yeah, I did too. But Stan the Man Waterman has been a terrific coach for the Hornets, and I'm not overly anxious to bet against him.
It's Moton's league. It's Jones's league. That's it. That's the MEAC right now.
Matthew, this one just came in. Wisconsin and Northwestern. That's another Big Ten game to discuss. Wisconsin has been awesome to start the year and then horrible. Now they're awesome. They made 12 of their first 15 threes yesterday. Like, I don't know what you do if you're Maryland, if that's all going down against you. Northwestern, obviously, hampered by injury. Ty Berry, Matthew Nicholson. Wisconsin laying 4. What do you think there?
Yeah, it's the only of the top 4 seeds, Big Ten, Purdue, Northwestern, Illinois, Nebraska. Northwestern, the only team to not take money. In fact, Wisconsin is taking money.
How'd that work for
related,
BYU
probably
yesterday? How'd that work for BYU?
Exactly, and a lot of others.
All 4 A10 teams.
All 4 A10 teams. So yeah, it matters until it doesn't. Obviously, with data as we like to talk about. I like Wisconsin here. God, I hate saying that. I do.
I mean, there's a lot of parallels to the BYU game. The 5 seed shot like crazy from 3. Now they go to the 4 seed that's rested, and the 5 seed takes money, and then does the 4 seed stomp them the way Texas Tech did to BYU yesterday? We'll see. I like Northwestern. I've just been impressed with how feisty they are. Don't really want to bet against Boo Booey in a tournament setting. Quinnipiac, Kai, any thoughts on Quinnipiac in the MAC?
Yeah, I wrote it up for action. I took Quinnipiac a little bit. I am on record in saying that I thought the winner of Rider St. Peter's would win this MAC tournament. Quinnipiac has owned St. Peter's in both games. They've won the pace battle in both games, transition versus half court. I think they're the better team. It's funny, the MAC is so crazy, but I think we're going to get a chalk finals with Quinnipiac and Fairfield. And I think that's what they deserve. I think they're the 2 best teams. St. Peter's can scrap, but I lean towards Quinnipiac.
Agreed. All right, let's get to best bets now. Reminder, I gave out one that was Fairfield and Marist under 134. Matthew, have you given one out, or did you flirt with giving one out?
I've just flirted so far. I haven't made an official commitment. Kai, do you have yours out of the holster ready? Because I'm still.
I don't. Sorry, Matthew. If you can
and
go.
And while we think that's fine. No, that's fine. Let me plug
Matt,
for
did you give Ohio?
While we decide.
Did you give Ohio? You almost gave
yes,
Ohio.
Sorry, Ohio was officially given. That's right. I actually did make a commitment.
I was waiting for 5 more likes. We're almost at 100.
I was just going to say, we're going to pause the show until we get 100 likes, and then we'll give best bets.
Okay.
Which have been red hot lately for those of you just now joining us. Wink, wink. They've not been great. That's okay. That's fine. We're helping people to fish. We're not fishing for.
Pay attention to the meat of the show. Okay, Matt. I'm ready if you want me to go.
Yeah, I'm going to double up on the MAC.
Okay.
Ohio +2, Kent State -2.
All right, love it. Okay, I'm gonna. I had both. I had Kent State written down, Matthew. Let's see here. Heck, I'm going Temple +7. Yep, that's 1 against Charlotte, and I'm going UC Davis, sticking with what I said in the brief breakdown against Hawaii. UC Davis, Eli Pepper, pick -1, whatever it's out there right now.
Attaboy. All right, Fairfield Marist under for me, and also San Diego State, Utah State under. Currently 137.5 at Circa. I will take that. Mountain West, a lot of rock fights in that tournament. And man, Utah State off OT, San Diego State also not terribly sharp yesterday. Both off OT. I think that helps the pace stay low. So 2 unders on the slate for me today.
Love it, Jim.
Fantastic. That wraps it up for today. Kai, I'll let you do that.
Thank you. Hey, I'll say this tomorrow too, but tomorrow's our last best bet show before the NCAA tournament. Tomorrow we're back at 10 a.m. Central. Next week, 2 best bet shows on Tuesday, separated 9 a.m. and 10 a.m. One will be just the Thursday games. One will be just the Friday games. We'll talk about every single first round matchup. We're also doing our March Madness Marathon podcast on that Monday at 1:30 p.m. Central. That's more matchup based, looking forward to regions, all that sort of stuff. Tuesday will be the actual best bets first round shows. So we'll advertise them, but check them out. Have that on your calendars. We'll see you tomorrow, 10 a.m. Central, Saturday, best bet show. Good luck. Enjoy the ball. Fantastic slate. Good luck to you. See you.